Happy New Year still. It's getting happier, I think. It's the second Sunday after Christmas. And what have we got? We've got Brexit done. Did you see Mike Osmond's hysterical piece he did? I think it's on YouTube, or if you look at Mike Osmond, you can see him doing, "Hey, pissed Boris, we got Brexit done." So, fantastic. So, here we are, second Sunday after Christmas. And the reason I know that is because this morning I looked at Songs of Praise. I don't know where Catherine Jenkins was. She's normally on that. Or was it Songs of Praise? I'm not sure. A lot of hymns, anyway, from Northern Ireland. And I quite like that Northern Irish woman who stood there speaking to Andrew Marr today, Arlene Phillips. She's aged a bit since she was dancing, but I think she's really good. And she's so different to the Fan-Dabby Dozy woman up in Scotland, isn't she, eh? She's more measured, more everything, and probably has more problems to sort out in Northern Ireland and Ireland than Fan-Dabby Dozy does. All she wants to do is get a bucket of English because I don't like any of it. But this woman's got to keep the border going, make sure the our Irish friends are happy. I'm not a politician, don't I? But they are Irish friends to me because I'm bloody half Irish. There you go, thank God. But probably got something to do with the amount I can tuck away, being half Irish and half Scottish. But yeah, so she was very good on Andrew Marr this morning. I thought was very good. And then after Andrew Marr, I'll come back to him in a minute. He's getting more grumpy, isn't he? And in fact, I won't come back to him in a minute. I'll talk about him now. Even the Prime Minister was a cusp away from saying, "Andrew, why don't you just bugger off and stop being so grumpy?" He said to him with your typical grumpy. He is grumpy. And do you know what happened there? The 12-year-old director or vision mixer actually showed what Andrew Marr is all about him, isn't it? Because he's asking the Prime Minister a question, and when the Prime Minister is answering, looking straight at him, all he sees is the top of Andrew's head because he's looking at his next question. He doesn't give a shit about the answers, really. And so he can't actually move on from what the Prime Minister has answered. He just has to go with what the 12-year-old lefty producer has written down. Oh, the BBC. So are they going to go to school? Yeah, well, listen, when I was a kid, I didn't want to go to school. I'd vote Conservative for the rest of my life if I was a kid at school now, and the Prime Minister said you don't have to go to school. So there you go, back to the hymns. Now, the first hymn they sang this morning was what? Morning Has Broken, written in 1492 by Stephen Giorgio, who then changed his name to Cat Stevens in the 70s. And the twiddly bits were written by Rick Wakeman, who got paid 70 quid and never actually got paid. That's what he said he'd do it for and never got paid. So Cat Stevens, get a grip of yourself. And isn't the Cat Stevens version 10 times better than the hymn? Morning broken night, there's no twiddly bits in it. Anyway, back to Andrew Marr. He didn't say much about the COVIDs apart from the government getting it all wrong. How is it the government's fault that a huge rave and party in Birmingham had to be broken up by the police? But what I do think is wrong there is that on television and the newspapers, they only showed pictures of black people at that party, which I think is victimisation, obviously. The other news is Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy, I'm glad that you've got through it, because there's hope for us all. You're a bit of a hero to most of us ordinary people, and we're all in awe of you. And your description in the Times of having the COVIDs is rather wonderful. And my mate Bill and his missus have had the COVIDs as well, and that's touch and go, because they've also had serious complaints that they've had dealt with in the past, but they've managed to get through this. So just quickly have a look now. I've got some figures here. So far, 2,599 people, 789 have tested positive for the COVIDs. Right? I know it's to sound awful here, and we must wish Joe Stevens, the shadow spokesperson for the media and culture. Joe, I hope you get better soon. There we are. That's from a staunch Conservative to you on lefty Labour person. Get well, and I hope you beat these COVIDs. 2,599 people, 789. Now, they've had the COVIDs, they don't have to have the jab, do they? So by catching COVIDs and surviving it, you saved 2 million lots of £3. So, well done. Now, I just want to say, before we go any further, and Boris is saying we might have to go to a tier 5, 6, 7 and 8, because he's listening to the professors. So I just want to ask you, what is a professor? What does it mean, a professore? professor. So you go from, what do you go from? A school teacher to like teacher. Then you get a PhD, which means you get a doctorate. The original doctors were not called doctors, were they? The veins and things. It was the studiers, the doctors, and I think the blood people nicked it off the book people. Anyway. So you get then you get a PhD, a master's, then you get a doctorate, and then what? You get a professorshipness. So once you've got to professor, is that it? You know everything. So there's no professor one-upmanship. I've got a yacht master's. By the skin of my teeth, I got a yacht master's, and I realise that, and I'm working very hard to try and get better. And in a minute, next year, I'll do my ocean yacht master's in case I have to paddle off or listen to a lot of people's advice and go anyway. So when you get to a professor, that's it. You know everything. You absolutely know everything, do you? Okay. So of the 257,000 professors that advise on SAGE, whatever that is, who know their onions, right, tell the Prime Minister what to do. They're professors that got to a certain level. They're not top professors. They're not the professors, like the footballers, not a professor. So let me just tell you, if all you professors are the same, and you all should be listened to because there's not one better than the other, you get what I'm saying, One geezer, Professor How's Your Father, in the papers today, has said spacemen have been here in the past, right? And a while ago, they found a piece of space garbage. It passed the sun, and all the other professors that are as brainy as the other professor telling us about the convicts said it's a piece of alien junk, right? Not a lump of rock, a piece of alien junk. And there's a picture of it looking like a lump of rock. And apparently it travelled past us at 58,000 miles an hour, right? That reminded me of me going up the M5 with my old Ferrari. But there you go. So he is now saying it's a piece of space garbage. So, Professor, is this what you want us to believe? That some people millions of light years away with minds immeasurably too stupid. Anyway, they've sat around and said, right, what's happening? Oh, I've only had the wheel up fall off me fucking spaceship, that's all. Take it down to Uranus and dump it, will you? Shove it up Uranus. No, can't do that because the police are here, right? No, we're in tier 4 here on Planet Zob. I'll tell you what to do, just fucking dump it somewhere. Where do people dump garbage a lot? Oh, there's a planet called Earth. Go there, find a farmer's field and fucking dump it in there. But make sure you slow down from 58,000 miles an hour because there's speed cameras all the way down to fucking A34. Is that what they expect us to believe? That some aliens have sat round working out where to dump their fucking space garbage? A piece of fucking rock, you stupid Professor Git. So this is professors for you. Do we listen to them? Boris, next time you're listening to your two... They look a bit like aliens, don't they? It might be part of their car broke down on the way here. Maybe that... Who is Professor Claude Van Damme? I like him, that professor. I think he's really sensible, the Claude Van Damme one. Perhaps, are there aliens here? Have you really looked into the eyes of that little Swedish girl whose birthday it is today, Gretta Thornbum? I think it's time for you to go back to your own planet rather than save ours. Anyway, let's plod on. I will see you lot tonight if you switch over and come and see me on JDTV. I'm going to do a Sunday Night Live, and because of the convicts, I've got to do it on my own. So I'm going to fill the show with all my favourite things tonight. It will be on at 7:30, www.ustream.com. And I'm unashamedly plugging our streaming program because I've seen a lot of shit on television about Channel 4 streaming, BritBox streaming. BritBox is ITV and BBC. Well, you've already paid for that, haven't you? So why do you need to pay for more? Sign up to Ustream. I'll look after you. Don't you worry about that.
I don't care, do I?